Welcome back to Spekd. It's design time. It's time for me to get that diorama done. Now, this was a challenge between myself, the Weather Pig, and Terratrix Wargaming. Those are great guys, and they've always putting content out, and we keep in contact. So they decided, okay, I want to build a diorama based on chaos. I was like, that's a nice idea. Let me get in on that, because it's a lot of fun. I haven't really built dioramas in the past because really it's a cost of models, and you know, I've always thought of it as expensive. So I tried to find a way to reduce all costs but make something that look nice, something I could leave on the side. So obviously I start off with a design idea that I got in mind, and then I tried to formulate it with content. So I do a bit of research, and I need to base it on one of the chaos gods. And the first one I think of is Khorne. You know, I've got a lot of Nurgle Death Guard, so I don't really want to use those models. Tzeentch, I haven't got too many of. You know, they just sit there. Slaanesh models, I just really like the design, and I can't sacrifice them. So it's left to Khorne. So I go through my old Firestorm campaign stuff, which is brilliant if you can get your hands on it. And my Gore Chosen, because clearly it's Khorne. I struggle with the box there for a little bit. So the design motifs that they use is predominantly blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, you know, fires, etc. And I use that as a root. I start looking at the models I've got, my cool models, see what I really want to use or what I can sacrifice, because again, I don't want to use too many models. I just really want to make the scene and put in poignant models at the right time. So keeping costs down, I've got the glue. After I measure out on some card, create square base, and just put them together. Now this will be the foundation of the diorama, which is about 12 by 12 inches, or a foot and a foot. And I just put some weight on it just to keep it held, otherwise it doesn't glue quite right. So I next move on to some old expanded foam terrain that I have. Now since I've moved, this stuff has been bashed around. I haven't really had a chance to use it, so I'm just going to break it apart and use it for my model here, for my diorama. And this is a lot of fun, just breaking this stuff down. You know, don't breathe in the dust, just like break it down and crunchy. I'll just collect it in a container, because I know I'm going to need this for some other builds at some point. I have a look at the pieces, kind of lay them out to try and match my drawing, just to get that solid structure to what I have in my mind's eye. I'm just kind of like getting the pieces together like a puzzle. You can really see it's coming together quite nicely. I grab my bits box and I start taking the pieces that I want, and Khorne has a lot of sharp bits, so any trash that I've kind of had I'm using, and it's definitely got skulls because you need skulls for the skull throne. I lay things down, glue them up where I can, using hot glue, nothing more than that. And that's what I have already. So you can see the foam there, the expanded foam, just sticking through. It didn't take too long. So to give this covering texture, I use a combination of white glue, brown paint, and some sand. Once it's all mixed up, I just put that onto the model so it has like a rocky appearance. And it also makes a model really tough. People think it's weird when I'm making my brand, I just use like orange and black. But what I find is it's a lot warmer underneath, and the tones come through really well. So you can see it there. And this is with filler, by the way. Sorry, I don't remember if I mentioned that or not. It doesn't take very much black. Just It's really little in comparison to the orange. Give it a good mix. And when you're done with this, the texture should be really nice. Kind of like it should feel gritty to the touch. Now, I have used this technique before on one of my previous videos, one of the basing videos. But it's really good to see the texture here, what you're looking for, kind of grainy. So as I pull it along, you see the texture just kind of come up nicely with the sand. Brilliant. And here comes the sand. That's so relaxing. There's something about pouring sand. I don't know whether because it mimics the sea, but it's really relaxing. It's kind of opposite of what corn's about, obviously, with the chaos and destruction and the war and the blood. But you know, maybe we just need a little bit of relaxation there. So that's a better texture for what I need. If I had more time for it to dry, then I would have used the first texture, but the second texture is closer to what I want, because it is really for a short period of time that I need to get this done. I only have a little bit of time to kind of work on things like this, these projects. And as I said, I had a lot of fun, and I'll definitely look forward to do this again in the future. I'll have to find some other models to sacrifice though. So I get my hands dirty, and I start covering the whole model with this. I felt like a kid messing with mud. It's just crazy. Once it dries through, or where I think it's dry, I just have a look around, see where it might need filling, because it is really a filler anyway, and it dries super tough. I also put in the spear ends, spikes you can see there. Once I'm happy with that, I move forward. Now if you're doing this, I suggest you wear gloves and take your time. It'd be better to have a smoother tool or more flexible tools you do this, just so you can work it into the areas, just a filler. If you did put this filler on there and it's a bit too wet, you could always run sand over it again, but you'll have to paint it for colour. I mean, I'm going to have to repaint this anyway. Now before I go any further, I smooth down some areas. Like that little kind of cliff there, that mini cliff. Just to make it a little bit smoother, because you have like fine little particles which are in the mix, and they can really stand out when you make it on such a small scale when you put the models on there. So you want to bring them down so in scale they look like tiny rocks, really, if that. Now we'll be covering this with my favourites. You know, cinnamon, a little bit of mixed herbs. I know you haven't heard those for a long time. But before that, I'm going to be adding some colour. And strangely enough, this looks like a little person sitting down. It looks good. So once all that's done, I make sure to cover the base in a mixture of black paint and white glue and a very little water. What I want to do is just seal the base so it doesn't warp. Now I could have done this before I glued everything on, but I just wanted to make sure that everything's stuck on without it coming up, because sometimes you put hot glue onto paint and you know it just pulls off. But if you put it directly onto cardboard, it tends to work a lot better. So I go over it about 2-3 times, because I am going to paint the base as well. See there in the sun, it's looking kind of nice, but it's all monotone and one colour. So we'll address that next. And really, it's all cheap materials, so I'm right with that. So far, so good. This is where I add in colours. And right here I'll just do something simple. I know the traditional thing would be just wash the whole thing in grey, or you know, in like a dark wash, and then come back in and dry brush. What I actually did was started attacking the kind of rock face, or where I think the rocks will be, in a variety of different colours. So like oranges, reds, maybe a touch of yellow, greens. It didn't matter, because then what I do is after I'll come in with a wash once it had dried, and it kind of like gives almost like the striation colours embedded within the rock, or where the kind of layers of rock have occurred over time, it's now been exposed due to erosion. So I just wanted to play with that idea, and again that didn't take too long. Now, I know that orange is very stark, but it's okay. Any mistakes? It's done. I add washes and cinnamon, a little bit of grass, and I get to this. Now this is my diorama, and the story is that there's constant war in this place I'm playing. Corners blessed it with battle, war, strife, blood and skulls. It even has rivers of blood. War is everywhere. Now that's my diorama. I hope you've enjoyed it. You must check out Territrix Wargaming and the Weather Pigs dioramas, and I'll put links at the end of the video or in the description below, which will be easier to find. Go and have a look at theirs and tell us which one you like, or if you like all of them. Now we would love you to enter the same competition. Show us pictures of your diorama. It's going to be happening Halloween, and it's not that you're going to be getting a massive reward, it's just that we'll be showcasing the winner, which we think is the best one, on all 3 of our channels. So we showcase your work, because the community has such amazing artists and amazing diorama creators. We love to see it. And this is saying thank you on behalf of all 3 of us, and thank you again anyway. This has been Spekd. Enjoyed my time, hope you enjoyed yours. PC out.